off of another bird. So in the bird of prey world, the female bird is always bigger than the male. So Wobbly is a female, so she's a little on she would be larger than a male counterpart. So I don't know how many of you have been to Stingray Bay this year, but if you take a peek over at our bird barn, you might have a sneak peek at Aria. She's our young bald eagle. She's actually bigger than Wobbly, and she doesn't have the white head yet because they get that when they age. So when you guys are at Stingray Bay, take a peek and you might see her. So did you guys enjoy seeing Wobbly fly for you? Yeah. Yeah, she's a pretty bird. So up next, we're going to have a friend from Canada as well. She's going to be coming from over your heads here. This is Hazel, and Hazel's our great horned owl here at the Toronto Zoo. So as she flies over, you're not going to hear her. And that's because they have silent feathers to help them fly along without being heard, so they can set road. There you go. Now you notice how she turns her head around like that? How many of you here in the audience, put your hand up, think that owls can turn their heads 360 degrees? That's a common thought. A lot of people think that, but in fact they can only turn it 270, which is still a significant amount. That's because they have 14 vertebrae in their neck that allow them to do that, while we only have 5 or 6. And they also have those really large eyes. They help them see at night. But actually, they see about as good as any other bird during the night. They rely on their ears to find their food. Which is pretty cool. So, oh goodness, this is embarrassing. Somebody left their garbage on the stage. But somebody put this in the garbage. Is this garbage, guys? No, this isn't garbage. This is recycling. That goes in that nice blue bucket right there. I missed. I should not ever try out for basketball. That's all right, because every year 65 million water bottles get thrown out in the garbage in Toronto alone. I guess one more won't be a huge deal, will it, Henry? Oh, Henry says it will make a difference. See, Henry is our recycling hornbill. And he wanted to make a point that every bottle matters, guys. And so make sure you always throw your garbage out in the garbage and your recycling in the recycling. So now that he's done his recycling, would you like to have another look at Henry? All right, come on out, Henry. So, as you notice, Henry has really thick, long legs. And that's for walking on the ground, as they are called an Abyssinian ground hornbill. However, they can fly really well. You might get a nice peek at his wings when he jumps off his barrel. So what he's demonstrating here is how in the wild they hollow out a log to make a nest. Of course, this isn't a log, but it shows you how he does the exercise. You did get a good look at his nice white wings there. And Henry's a sweetheart. You can see his friend Wally in the second show at 2:30. All right, so how about we move along with the show? It's going well. I think our next bird we'll bring out is going to be a really big bird. In fact, our next bird's name is Attell, and Attell is a marabou stork. And now they're really big birds. Wow. So I'm going to sit down. So, as I said, she's a marabou stork. Just remain seated, and she's going to fly over your heads like this. These guys are from Africa, and they are a scavenger bird. You can tell this by her bald head. And the reason they have a bald head is so that when they eat dead animals, their head doesn't get covered with blood and guts. Because if that was in feathers, that'd be really difficult to clean. And so what she'll do when she puts her head inside a dead animal is she'll then sit in the sun, and the sun will dry it and flake it off. Nice and easy clean. You might have heard a sound when she flew over you. That's not actually her voice. That was her wings. Attell doesn't have a voice box. And so she talked to you by clattering her bill. So if you guys go through the kids' zoo later, you might hear her clattering to you. So now that Attell's gone in, we're going to bring out another bird. His name's Tommy. And he's also from Africa, but he's a little bit different than Attell. So the Tommy here is coming out from behind sticks. He's called a secretary bird. The secretary birds, like the Tawny, are a bird of prey. And his closest relative is actually the falcon family, although he's 10 times bigger than any falcon. Now his method of killing is stomping on his prey. See how he stepped on his snake really hard? He's actually got really sharp talons that will break the vertebrae in the snake's neck.
That's funny.
They actually eat really poisonous snakes in the wild, so his legs got almost shield-like scales that will protect him from a snake bite. He's a very pretty bird, and they spend their time mainly on the ground, but at night they do go up in acacia trees and nest at night. And they do have those long legs, like I said, but they are great flyers. Tawny just enjoys staying on the ground more than anything else. So you've seen a big bird, you've seen a fast bird on the ground, you've seen cute Henry, you've seen Hazel. Would you guys like to see something that moves really fast?
Yes.
Alright, so the next bird we're going to bring out for you is a falcon. This is Seer. This Seer is a lanner falcon. And what Brendan here is going to demonstrate, thank you Brendan, is a lure. And lure is a string with a wing attached to it and a little piece of meat. And what it does is it represents what you would hunt in the wild, which is other birds.
That's so cool.
So falcons are actually the fastest animals in the world.
Watch him.
The fastest one, can anyone guess the fastest bird? Yell it out.
Falcon!
Exactly, peregrine falcons, and they can go up to 400 kilometers an hour in a dive. That's very fast. Our friend here, Seer, can only do about 150, which is still pretty fast. But because of all these adaptations, like because of the speed a falcon can go at, they have to have adaptations. So one of its adaptations is a black mark under their eyes. That's called a mallard stripe. What that does is on a sunny day, it will help keep the sun out of his eyes, like a basketball player or a football player would have. They also have a specialized nostril that allows them to dive without obviously having a hard time breathing. They have special teardrops that gel up and allow them to see properly. And they have short feathers, and when Seer decides he wants to come down and join us, you'll see how fast they can move. So right now what Seer's doing is he's just taking a look at his surroundings and figuring out where he is, because birds have to be able to get back to the place they left. So he's looking at landmarks, looking at the wind, figuring out where he is and how he's going to take down the lure that Brendan's teasing him with. So as you can see, when they come back down, they go into the swoop where they tuck their wings in. They're very fast animals. So how many of you have been on an airplane before? Lots of you. Now have you ever gotten on an airplane and sat for a long time before the plane decides to take off? Now one of the reasons at least that might be is because there's a falconer probably who keeps birds away.
He just flew over my head. I
Did.
felt him. I felt him.
The plane has to work so it's clear. So the whistle you just heard is Brendan signaling that it's time to get to prey. And Seer's got a beautiful flight, as usual.
Nice, fine.
So Seer's flight unfortunately brings an end to our show. As I said, it is a modified show. But you can still look at a lot of the animals in the kids' zoo that we